been an interesting few days. I have been soft censored on Instagram, and that is now extended to Facebook. And it seems that you know who has attached their advertising to my videos as well whenever they concern them or the coronavirus or the United Nations or anyone else in the crew. It's interesting. This soft censorship, begins with the difficulty in getting your media up and little glitches intended to frustrate you. And of course, I'll go at it a few different ways, but what I normally do is go through Instagram to sort of link in Facebook, so I don't have to do an extra step. And that isn't possible at that point, or all of a sudden it just doesn't translate to Facebook. And then it just won't load video, or it stops them in the middle. All designed to keep us in line while thinking we are free. I expected it. But what's interesting is I experienced this before at Thrive at 50. That was the adventure I was really working towards before my passion for the truth took over. It's been a few times in my life, but I was compelled to share my knowledge in seeking my truth and helping other people find the same. Because so many of us are clearly not satisfied with what we're hearing. And now that we know that Agenda 2030 is on the way, there's another plan for humanity. What's come to my attention to be a bit of an emergency, and I mean a real emergency, is women. Because the more I learn about what is happening and the history of how the T got added to the LGB, I'm seeing a very dangerous trend, and it's gender identity. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe everybody has the right to identify with whatever they believe, but it doesn't make it true because it can't biologically. I find it interesting that this is interesting, not only interesting, horrifying, that the biological reality of a woman is even under debate. And initially, I honestly had to laugh when I first started hearing about it. But what I'm coming to learn is that this is not about everyone finding and speaking their truth. It's how it's starting, but it's not coming from an organic or authentic place. I had to, with all of this talk, I really spent a lot of time, and over the years too, what does it mean to be a woman? And for me, I decided not to have kids. And in fact, I often felt excluded by the women who did, because I knew in a lot of their eyes, they didn't see me as a complete woman without a child. Which is why I don't hang out with a lot of moms. Because their experience wasn't what I was after in life. And I'm looking back at how that came about, and that's interesting in a whole other video. But the fact that we can't, some of us decide to have children or can't have children, and those who want children, or those who have them and don't want them, or can't keep them, there's one commonality that we all share. It doesn't matter where we're from, any part of the globe. We all bleed once a month. Every single one of us. Unless, of course, we get pregnant. Now, of course, that starts around 13. So I decided to do some math. And I actually blew myself away. I have had 486 periods in 40 years. That means I've bled over 3,000, close to 3,500 days of my life. That's 9.3 years. Now that's a commonality that cannot be broken. We have been separated from this fact because in many cultures, of course, it was revered, but then it was also abhorred and the women were pushed away. But what happened was that women came together and supported one another through the time. Of course, as we got into the 30s and 40s and 50s, the 60s, 70s, women got a whole lot more independent. And it became to be called a curse, in fact. And it's because it's called, and we referred to it as a curse, that we haven't talked about this commonality that no man will ever be able to identify. 9 years of my life. Now I'm on the tail end of all that. And actually, I don't want it to go. I don't. Because I'm guided by the moons. And it's interesting that most of the biggest revelations and changes of direction in my life have been on full moons. And if I go to South America, it quickly flips to the new. It must be magnetics. I'm not sure. When women work together, we synchronize. We are Mother Nature. We're the seed of life. We have the ability to give life. And there are those out there who want to take that away. And they have. Luckily, I got off the hormones. I stopped taking the birth control pill at 21, and I believe that really helped me to develop and enable my body to synchronize with Mother Nature where it's intended to be. It's a huge subject because the implications are huge. But I want to bring you into the discussion of life sciences because the gender trend in our society of separating everybody, well, the transgender movement is under the guise of inclusion of everyone, which is starting to see distinctions beyond, of course, gay, lesbian, trans. You can get into, they're looking to introduce up to 20 different genders. I'm looking at lists just blown away. And I came to the realization it's not about inclusion and ensuring inclusion. It's actually about ensuring division. And mostly division within women. To come with they've made it so difficult for us to talk about this in civil society, to be labeled, that us women aren't standing up for ourselves. And in fact, the patriarchy has come in the back door through the transgender movement. And guess who else? Life sciences. And the powers that be that want to own life. They've been doing it on the farm since 1999, called GMOs. It's about owning the seed. And right now, us women have the seed. And they want to water down what we actually mean to humanity by interjecting those who cannot ever identify with what it means to give life or have the ability to give life. We can't let that happen. And it's up to us women who have seen many moons and all share a commonality of being a woman, to not ever let that get watered down. We are the original. We are Mother Nature. We are of the universe. And it doesn't matter what God you subscribe to. Us women across the planet are all the same in that regard. In Saudi Arabia and the Arab Emirates, they have an Agenda 2030 plan. And part of their plan is actually to keep the Muslim religion very strong. And of course, that's meant to also, childbearing is a great part of that. Where here in North America and in the West, we are being socialized not to have children, that overpopulation is a problem. And I cannot believe I'm actually promoting this message. I would never have believed it in a million years. And I don't regret my decision for not having children. But I'm not sure if I had known then what I know now, that I would have decided not to have children. I think I would have done it because humanity depends on it. I honestly still can't believe we're discussing this. But another interesting little factoid before I go. Because of all this censorship I'm going through, I got into my YouTube a little more and discovered that I upped my views significantly. And then went into the demographics. 45 to 52 is my demographic, 100%. And guess what? 70% of us, and you, are women. I know I'm being heard. And I'm so glad it's by you. Because we have the power to interject sense and sensibility into this argument. And we have an obligation to preserve what being a woman means and what it will mean 100 years from now. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you. And of course, Instagram and Facebook, if they're not all censoring me, you might have to get in there and do a little more searching. And I will try to include my links to my pages there in my description box from now on, just so you can have a quick, direct route to following me there. Thanks so much.